Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this pre-analysis guide for Sparkle, I'll be giving you her best relic, light cones, team comp, rotations, pro and cons, and if you should pull for her. Do note that this is all speculation and subjected to changes. Here are her required materials and skill priority. For an overview on her kit, she gives X% of action forward, a small attack % boost, damage boost, a ton of crit damage and a ton of skill points. It's ideal that she runs on a single hyper DPS carry unit, but she works fine for dual DPS team comps too, and she rewards quantum type teammates with additional attack % bonus up to a max of 3 quantum units in your team. Sparkle also seriously doesn't need 100% action forward at all, as Sparkle will pull your DPS up instantly. For her Eidolons E1, her effect from her ultimate lasts for X more turn. Allies affected by this stat have their attack increased by X%. E2, each Talon stack allows all allies to ignore X% of the target's defense. E4, her ultimate recovers X more skill point, and her Talon effect increases max skill points by X times. E6, all skills additionally deals X% more crit damage, and this bonus works for all allies with her Talon effect. For her best price to performance ratio, honestly her Eidolons aren't needed at all, she is totally E0 sufficient. Though the best value would be her E1, E2 and signature LC at max. How to build Sparkle: for the body you want crit damage only. For the boots you want speed only. Substat priority: speed till 143, 146 or 147. After that, as much crit damage as possible. Effect res and defensive stats lastly. Players may be wondering, why does Sparkle need so much speed? It's because with 143 plus speed she can go 2 turn in 1 cycle. For her to skill spam your DPS with attack % boots to take 2 turn in 1 cycle too. Sparkle benefits a ton from crit damage, where she scales on more crit damage compared to BRONYA. Onto her Relic Set. It's very straightforward. She doesn't really have any best in slot, but I do recommend 4-piece messenger or at least 2-piece messenger due to the 6% speed, as she has very low speed and scales only with crit damage. Also, you may not even want to run defensive set bonuses or 2-piece messenger, as it all comes down to crit damage and speed substats over any Relic Set bonuses for Sparkle. And now for the Planar Ornament main stat. For the rope you want energy regeneration rate. For the orb HP % or defense %, and if your Sparkle is tanky enough, you may even run any main stats as long as the relic piece has a ton of crit damage or speed. For her Planar Ornament set, her best in slot would be either Fleet of Ageless or Broken Keel and Penacony, only if you're running Sparkle with a quantum DPS unit. Do note that the 5% energy regen is useless on Sparkle, as she will hit her ulti breakpoint with just a energy regen rope. You may also run Von Whack or no set bonuses if you have really good substats. Overall, players should just slap on whichever is easier for their account by farming what your other units are using, as the DPS difference is minimal. Now for Sparkle's light cones. For dual DPS team comps you may run Chorus, Carve the Moon, Dance Dance Dance, the new light cone and Planetary Rendezvous if you're running a dual quantum DPS setup. Do note that a single hyper carry would do better for Sparkle's kit, as Ruan Mei is best for dual DPS team comps, but these light cones will do better compared to her single target buff LCs. At second place it's both Past and Future and BRONYA Signature LC. For BRONYA Signature LC it's mainly for the extra skill points, and you may opt to not run Energy Regen Rope anymore if you get hit once every 3 turn for Sparkle to hit her ulti uptime breakpoints, where you can focus more on speed and crit damage substat. For Past and Future it's a free S5. Both of these two light cones have a 100% uptime buff, but may lose the damage buff if your DPS, for example, Seal without her resurgence and ulti up in time after her turn ends, you won't be able to get the damage buff for her ulti, though small issue as it may never or rarely happen. At first place is Sparkle's Signature LC, increases wearer's crit damage by X%. The wearer gains mask at the beginning of the battle for X turns. When wearer has mask, increase all allies crit rate by X% and crit damage by X%. When the wearer recovers a skill point, including the exceeded limit, they gain a stack of Radiant Flame, and when the wearer has X or more stack, removes all stacks and gains mask for X turns. Overall, the damage boost is actually the same as Past and Future at S5 for a single DPS unit, which may seem like a letdown for most players, but there are a ton of upsides from this LC, where it's a pure 100% uptime buff, being autoplay friendly, not to mention the crit rate boost, which helps to make your MOC 12 run smoother, and with the new crit relics coming out you may even drop your DPS crit stats slightly for other offensive stats in it. Also performs at max output with a dual DPS team comp. Personally, even with all those upsides, I don't recommend players to pull for her LC, as her E1 and E2 is preferred. Now for her team comp and rotations, where everyone is looking forward to. Sparkle is one of the most universal units, where she's able to run with any crit build DPS except dot units. Though it's preferred to run her with a single DPS hyper carry, where your DPS unit can run attack % boots and you always want to use Sparkle's skill all the time. For a standard pure mono quantum team comp, which will be the most popular team comp, do note that it's important that your debuffer or secondary buffer always goes first, and with Shui Yi you can run Ruan Mei instead, where it wouldn't have that much of an impact. Or even replace Silverwolf for Sparkle if the enemy boss is already weak to quantum, though it's kind of unnecessary. Sparkle's best supports are Tingyun or BRONYA, and this works even with quantum DPS units. You also don't need more quantum units for non-quantum DPS. The rotations are the same for all DPS unit. I will just be using Jingliu for example. For BRONYA, players don't have to worry about Sparkle not getting a 100% action forward advanced, as it's more than enough to have your DPS pulled up to take another turn immediately, where your DPS can go 4 turns in one cycle. For Imbibitor Lune, it's unnecessary to run both Sparkle and BRONYA, as Sparkle already gives him an insane buff. Where Tingyun would benefit more for energy-hungry units like Imbibitor Lune. Now for her dual DPS team comp setup. It's preferred to have your main DPS with attack % boots and your secondary DPS unit with speed boots. Other than Qingke plus Seal, there's nothing really much to talk about, as the way I see it. It's the only dual DPS team comp for now that would get the max output from Sparkle's kit compared to other units. Also, one huge upside about Sparkle is that she can even make 4-star unit with Eidolons 6 even more OP. For those of you wondering how much DPS output can she give, she gives around 30% plus more DPS compared to BRONYA. For Sparkle pros and cons. Pros: she's double S tier, 100% uptime buff like Ruan Mei. Your team will never run out of skill points. She's extremely easy to build due to her not needing any Relic Set bonuses. She's future-proof due to her quantum element, especially for players with Silverwolf. And has high value due to lesser attack % buff. She's the best buffer for a single hyper DPS, even compared to BRONYA, or without the need of a mono quantum team. She works even better with BRONYA, which allows your DPS to take 4 turns in one cycle. She makes 4-star units OP. She increases your DPS unit damage instantly by 10% due to them not needing speed boots anymore. Cons: same archetype as BRONYA. She still may get outscaled in future, even though she's OP. She's generic. You don't need her if you're running dot teams or dual DPS team comps. On a summary, if you should pull for Sparkle? If you don't have BRONYA? Yes. If you have BRONYA even at E2? Yes, as you can use them both in the same team. If you're running a single DPS team comp? Yes. If you have Silverwolf or Imbibitor Lune? Yes, definitely. If you feel that you don't need her when you have BRONYA already? No. If you're running a dual DPS or dot team and hate the single hyper carry DPS playstyle? No. Overall, it all comes down to you liking her design, and if you don't mind that she gets outscaled in future.
Welcome to Penacony, young lady. May I ask your name?
Acheron, the Galaxy Ranger.
And that's it for this guide.